I talked about how James Bond influenced a popular cartoon in the 80s with Inspector Gadget, but this time I'm talking about a definite influence on an animated show in the 90s with James Bond Jr. James Bond Jr. is actually a 1967 novel called 003: The Adventures of James Bond Jr., written by R.D. Mascott. This is actually a pseudonym, and the real author is Citation Needed Mystery. Now, James Bond Jr. is the nephew of MI6 super spy James Bond, and I'm guessing the original book was intended to be some kind of series, and it looks like it finally happened in 1991. Now, at that time, James Bond was in kind of a limbo. Before the release of License to Kill in 1989, the James Bond series had been putting out one movie every 2 years. But in 1991, there was none. And there wasn't another until 1995 with GoldenEye. Now, cartoons in the 80s owed a lot to James Bond. Shows like G.I. Joe and Mask definitely borrowed from it. James Bond Jr. was the first real TV adaptation, and it even had a toy line. However, it only had one season, so it never really caught on in the way the creators really wanted to. So it's sort of faded to obscurity. I found some VCR recorded episodes on YouTube. The setup is young James attending Warfield Academy, a school for spies, I guess. And yes, he introduces himself by saying, "I'm Bond, James Bond, Jr." Young James has some friends, which include IQ, who's the grandson of Q. He's the guy that builds gadgets for James just for fun. And there's also Gordo Leiter, son of Felix Leiter. He's got some surfer dude energy. Then there's also Tracy Milbanks, who doesn't seem to be related to any Bond supporting cast, but it's interesting that her name is Tracy. Is it short for Teresa? Bond seems to have some extracurricular time to fight an organization called SCUM, which stands for Saboteurs and Criminals United in Mayhem. Anyway, the leader is a mysterious figure called the Scum Lord, and he's like Blofeld, but he has a bull terrier instead of a cat, because I guess that was taken. I'm surprised at how many Bond villains show up, and I didn't watch every episode, just the ones that had the villains I recognized. Like the first episode has Jaws, who's a henchman of the Scum Lord, but he looks different and he talks a whole lot more. The second episode even has Goldfinger, who's still alive. Then there's Oddjob with a new look, which is just, yeah, in a few years you're definitely going to want to lose that OJ necklace. Hey, Dr. No even shows up, but his skin is really green and he's got weird hair, but I think he's got the metal hands. And there's this one episode I watched where Knick Knack shows up and he's like impersonating a leprechaun or something. And apparently he's working for someone named Goldiefinger, who's apparently Goldfinger's daughter. I wonder if Jill Masterson is her mother. If this show had been on in the 80s, I probably would have loved it like I loved G.I. Joe or Transformers. But I was in college when it came out, and it has a Captain Planet sort of vibe to it. Yeah, I don't think anyone wants a revival of this. But maybe you grew up with this. Leave a comment if you remember this, or just leave a comment in general.